Welcome to Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine. I'm your host, Jill Jardine, master's in counseling psychology, longtime astrologer, psychic healer, and yogi. In today's episode, my guest is Vaughn Fulkerson. Vaughn is the creator of Spice Mixers Essential Mineral and Spice Blends. Many are reported seemingly miraculous holistic healing results by simply boosting their favorite food and beverages daily with Spice Mixers. Stay tuned to hear more. Our guest today on Cosmic Scene is Vaughn Fulkerson. Vaughn Fulkerson is the creator of Spice Mixers, Essential Mineral and Spice Blends. Many have reported seemingly miraculous holistic healing results by simply boosting their favorite food and beverages daily with Spice Mixers. You can order yours at spicemixers.com. Email Vaughn at info@spicemixers.com. And Vaughn would like to offer my listeners 15% off all Spice Mixers blends using the promo code COSMIC. My guest, Vaughn Fulkerson, became absorbed and fascinated with spirituality very early in life. Growing up in the 1960s and 70s, he rode the heady excitement of scientific revitalization in the West with Eastern influences flowing in, such as Hinduism, Buddhism, and Taoism. Trained as a homeopath, he was a consultant for naturopathic pharmacy chains in Los Angeles. He raised his children drug-free and as natural as possible, choosing to not vaccinate his boys or circumcise them, opting to let nature proceed without intervention, with deep knowing that God's way was preferable to man's. In the 1990s, he developed and built large housing projects with an emphasis on urban redevelopment, but his passion for health matters remained. He competed in the 1990 Friendship Games in Seattle, running the men's marathon against the Soviets. Sports such as ocean kayaking with his boys and running events were a joy. But by the 2000s, Vaughn became aware of a steady physical deterioration. Full marathons became half marathons, then much shorter events. By the 2010s, he struggled to run across the street to beat traffic. In 2015, traveling with his partner Jackie to Antwerp and Budapest, he came down with a severe respiratory infection accompanied by extreme joint pain. To paraphrase, survival is the mother of invention. Upon returning to the States, he set upon a journey to restore himself and perhaps others as well. This led Vaughn to his personal discovery that re-mineralization of his depleted body, reducing inflammation, was magical. Last November, Vaughn and his best pal, Spice Mixers animal ambassador Jasper, entered and completed the Delaware and Lehigh Heritage Trail Half Marathon. Vaughn is living proof, and he wants you to know that even severe conditions like he was experiencing, presenting as Lyme, autoimmune, and other diseases, do not have to be insurmountable. Pain and dysfunction do not have to be a lifetime sentence. Re-mineralization can be magical. So check out Spice Mixers Essential Master Minerals and Spice Blends, delicious food and beverage boosters, which have positive side effects. Spice Mixers are proprietary synergistic blends of bioavailable essential micronutrients, minerals, finely ground organic spices, and herbs. These delicious microdose blends are convenient to use and deeply satisfying. Simply add to any food or drink such as coffee, teas, juice, yogurt, salads, or your favorite choice. Clients of Spice Mixers report major shifts in their quality of life simply by utilizing these tasty mixtures. Cosmic Scene medical disclaimer. Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine podcast states the information provided in this episode on this podcast regarding spice mixers is intended solely for educational purposes and cannot substitute for professional medical advice. Please seek medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment from a medical professional or healthcare provider. Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the podcast guest and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the host or producers of Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine. It is my honor and pleasure to have as our guest today on Cosmic Scene, Vaughn Fulkerson, the creator of Spice Mixers. Welcome, Vaughn.
Well, the honor is mine, Jill. Thank you so much for having me on.
I'm so excited to have you on. I know you have a lot of information to share with my listeners about spice mixers and how they can help people improve health issues or can help them address depletion. So, Vaughn, I understand you've been on quite a healing adventure yourself. We'd all love to hear more about your healing story and how you got interested in natural health and homeopathy.
Oh, well, I've always had a interest in not only spirituality from a young age, but also a holistic approach to diet and living. George Osawa led the macrobiotic wave in the 70s, and everyone was on the balance of yin and yang foods back then. And those two things, spirituality and nutrition, seem to go very, very well together.
Yes, I remember. Do you remember the chakra diet back in the day? Eat according to the chakra, red foods for the first. There was a great book out on that.
Oh, yeah. It was a really interesting time with a lot of information coming out of here in the West, but mingling with information that came from the East. And I found it really remarkable.
Because you have studied Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism, and you combine some of that spiritual energy with the training as a homeopath to come up with ways of bringing in the natural health and healing for yourself and your clients.
Sure, it's all about frequency. We try to make a high vibrational frequency with our product line so that people can feel a little boost, a little charge, if you will, when they have the products.
Right. So, people, I would like you to tell our listeners a little bit more about the products and how you came upon them, how you came upon producing them, and why they're essential for people. What is missing in our Western diet that the spice mixers can help?
Or our approach is focusing on mineralization, and we do call them essential master regulatory minerals that have to do with regulation of metabolic needs in the body. So we believe that the animal and earth was co-created with one another seemingly in mind. So we are very much in tune with one another. We believe that is 2 centuries ago, before the advent of commercialized farming using chemical fertilizers based upon nitrogen fixing, that we had what we needed. You could say that the healing was in the soil.
Yes.
And along in the 20th century, we had what's been referred to as the Green Revolution, which swept worldwide using chemical fertilizers, which I suppose you know came about after the end of World War One from the munitions industry, because can be quite explosive. So instead of shutting down all the munitions factories, they pretty much switched over to bulk manufacture of fertilizer.
So, fertilizer came from munitions, is what you're saying? For some of our listeners who may not be making that connection, they use the same products that were used in ammunition to put into fertilizer.
Yes, that's right. And the thing about chemical fertilizers like ammonium nitrate and others is that they chelate the minerals in the soil, meaning that they make them unavailable or just dissolve them, and they are lost out of the farmland soils. So We have sacrificed long-term production for short-term. Soils become very depleted relatively quickly. In my research, I was reading a congressional special commission on the state of farmland soils. And it was saying that it is an absolute disaster and an emergency that the important essential minerals were being lost out of the soil. And they recommended that changes be made immediately in the commercial farming for this country. That congressional report was made in 1932.
Oh my gosh. It doesn't look like a lot has been not a lot has been done since that, it seems like.
No. As a matter of fact, it's only accelerated with the advent of GMOs, and everyone's familiar with Monsanto and making specialized crops that are resistant to pesticides. I'm sure that their bioengineers would disagree with me, but I think that we've all seen what has happened worldwide. It doesn't matter who you speak to, whether they're from Brazil or Ukraine or Canada or Guatemala. They say that the fruits and the vegetables don't have the same quality. They don't feel or taste or smell the way they used to. And I believe that that is from the Green Revolution.
Right. And I understand too, even what are so-called labeled organic are not fully organic and are coming from depleted soil sources as well. Is that true? Do you find that true in some cases?
Yeah, actually, in most cases, and you're absolutely correct, Jill, you can have organic labels and still have them be very depleted specimens as far as fruit and vegetables.
So basically the nutrition and the vitality, the life force, the actual source of fruits and vegetables, what we have are like the shell of former fruits and vegetables that existed on the planet, and this has been going on for the last 80 plus years or so. And there's been no shifts or changes or any movements that are going to make some shifts around this that you know of?
Well, there are organic co-ops and that work typically on a smaller scale, because to revitalize soil is an intensive effort. So just to take a 40-acre farm and change it from commercial agri business to organic means that you have to rehabilitate the soil and put all of the original ingredients back in an organic matter. Normally, soil should have 5% organic. That is my alert dog.
Hello there, the
His
howler.
name is Jasper. Yeah. And you can find him on our website.
He's agreeing
He,
with everything you've been saying about the soil. Because
he
dog food is also depleted, that means.
well, that would follow. Yeah, that's right.
Do you think there'll be a reform? Like when I have kind of tuned into the future, especially with Pluto going through the sign Aquarius, it's going to change pretty much our society. I see visions of people growing things in their own greenhouses, on their rooftop gardens and community gardens, and people really getting back to the earth. Do you see that kind of movement coming? Is it happening in Montana where you live at all?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I think that that is absolutely essential for us to start taking responsibility once again for our own diet, and that includes production of food. That is very popular here in Montana. People have their gardens. This is May, and the growing season has just begun. So, and it will end in September. So the saying around here on 4th of July is, well, there was snow on the ground 2 months ago, and 2 months from now there will be snow on the ground. So very short growing season here, and the farmers, the ranchers, try to make good use of that.
So, all of this current situation with farming, even holistic farming, has led to you discovering spice mixers as a form of a solution as far as supplementing people's diets with these trace minerals. So, can you tell my listeners a little bit more about how that kind of evolved for you and how it continues to evolve? And what are spice mixers actually?
Well, let's start with that. Spice mixers are a proprietary blend of organic spices like turmeric, cloves, cinnamon, black seed, cumin, and minerals, food grade minerals that we make bioavailable. It's all about accessibility on a metabolic level. We find that these blends, and we have half a dozen that are on our website, different powderized blends that taste like chai teas. We call them teas, but there's no caffeine in them, no tea leaves. You have to add that yourself. uh, Many of my clients, myself included, put these powders in our morning coffee, and we find that that can lower inflammation in body tissues, including brain tissue. Brain tissue gets inflamed like any other tissue in the body: digestive, respiratory, neuromuscular, joint tissue that we would see as arthritis or a stiffness in the joints. That when you remineralize, that seems to have a remarkable effect on reducing inflammation and thereby pain.
That's wonderful. And I do notice that you use a lot of Ayurvedic herbs like the turmeric, the cinnamon, the cloves, the cumin, the black pepper. All of these are used in Ayurvedic medicine to help, and they're considered anti inflammatory. But I like the formulation of how you also combine them with these essential minerals like zinc, iodine, copper, selenium, and more. So that's interesting because I haven't really heard of formulations like this where people are actually bringing in these herbs that are anti inflammatory and also adding the minerals. You either get one or the other. So this is quite cutting edge, Vaughn, what you're doing
Mhm.
with spice mixers by blending both the minerals and the spice blends. A good friend of mine, Dr. Mark Mancola, is a famous, he wrote The Way of Health and he's on Gaia Channel and he is pretty much known. He has been saying for years, before it was, even before when people thought, oh, antioxidants are pomegranates and berries and all the fruits that are antioxidant. He was like, no, spices are even more antioxidant. It was kind of radical when he brought this up about 20 years ago, but this is how it's evolved and people are realizing that spices are very important for this. So it's good to see that Spice Mixers is using them as essential quality key to the products.
Yes, and you're absolutely right about the Eastern influence. Indian cuisine was a strong template for us to develop a synergistic blend, not just for taste, but also for their wonderful antioxidant and anti-inflammatory qualities. But to get back to your question on how I got onto this track, would you want to talk about that a little?
Yeah, I'd love to hear how what guided you towards this. I know you have a very strong spiritual connection and that you always had an interest in nutrition. So it's kind of nice to see that you did combine them on your path and then offer these products up to humanity basically to help with the current crisis in mineral depletion.
Well, thank you. Essentially, I found my metabolism winding down by the time I was in my 40s and 50s. So I went from marathons, being very athletic, a lot of ocean sports, and took a lot of pride in being involved with my kids long distance running. They just loved it. And then I noticed that my training was not going so great. And instead of running marathons, I started running halves and just chalked that up to I was a very busy person. But then I found that I needed to step that down to 10K and 5Ks, and actually became so stiff and riddled with pain that I was no longer able to kid myself. I was no longer a runner. After meeting my partner, Jacqueline, we were in Europe. We went to Wales, we went to Antwerp, Budapest, but I came down with some respiratory illness that just really hit me strongly. So we were in Newark Airport getting ready to fly overseas, and I smelled diesel fuel, jet fuel. Well, it's actually kerosene. And it seemed to have some sort of triggering effect on me because in the 5-hour flight, by the time we landed in Manchester Airport, I was really sick, coughing, pneumonia type symptoms. And it only got worse. We're in this beautiful European settings. And I didn't know if I was going to make it back to the States.
Wow.
But I made a type of promise to myself that if I actually survived, that I would do something about this. I didn't know what that was going to be because I had no idea what was going on with me. In retrospect, I was exhibiting classic Lyme disease type symptoms, or you could say autoimmune type conditions, because Lyme disease represents just about every autoimmune disease that you can have.
Right.
So once I stopped focusing on my own recovery and started wondering, what is this incredible virulent rise of autoimmune conditions worldwide? What is the autism spectrum? Why are we having so much difficulty? The only plausible explanation seemed to be the foods chain. And what would affect that would, of course, be the soils. And what would affect the soils worldwide at about the same time would be the Green Revolution. So that was my hypothesis. And I started looking through PubMed.gov repository. If you're not familiar with that, it's a governmental repository of serious peer-reviewed studies.
Okay.
And I was looking at what is missing out of the soil and what those missing elements do for the body. And it was a very close match. We need boron to distribute calcium and magnesium, meaning that teeth and bones are not going to be well provided for if you do not have boron present on a cellular level to direct the other minerals where they're supposed to go. You don't want them laying down in layers on your knuckles or on your hip joints. You want them to go in your teeth. You want them to go in your bones. But as we know, they don't always do that. So we need boron, we need silica, we need all of these minerals that we would normally just call trace minerals, but that does a disadvantage in calling some of these essential master regulatory minerals, is the phrase that I've come up with, that will do for the body what nature had intended for it to do for the body.
Yeah, these are actually even more important than I know a lot of people in the health movement or who know about holistic health are very, very big on supplements. You don't hear about the minerals quite as much. Like, and what you're saying, it's even to distribute the supplements, you need these minerals like magnesium, selenium, potassium. Silica is interesting because, there's a theory that we're going from carbon based to silicon based, which
Oh, interesting.
silica
Yeah.
is, a derivation of that. And then the selenium I know is so important for the thyroid. And again, there's an overwhelming amount of people who have autoimmune illnesses, including thyroid and adrenal dysfunction, and then the diseases of Lyme and lupus and other autoimmune. So you're onto something here, Vaughn, that you're getting to the culprit where the soils are depleted and the lack of minerals and people aren't able to process food and supplements, so their bodies are not getting the nutrition distributed throughout because of the lack of the minerals.
That is our approach. And all of our ingredients are very pure. We've actually never seen any harm done by any of our blends, just the opposite. And sometimes it's quite dramatic. I attend a lot of the health expos and anything where there's a large crowd, like a gem and mineral show. And I love crystals anyway, so it's a good excuse. And I can see literally tens of thousands of people in a 3 week expo coming by the booth. And I like to give out samples. I let people pick out their own blend. Oh, do you want something for respiratory or for IBS? We don't make any claims, but we are directed by what our clientele says they use our different blends for. And I make recommendations, and people will have their little 9 ounce sample drink and they'll disappear into the surging crowd. Frequently, they will come back in half an hour or maybe days later. We've had people come back 5 days later and say, I had that sample drink and my back stopped hurting, and it's been hurting for years. And I know it's your product. I want that.
That's a great testimony. How are they for like things like weight loss? I mean, because of thyroid and adrenal issues, a lot of people, their metabolism, you mentioned metabolism in the very beginning. Have you seen profound shifts with people's metabolism and weight loss? I mean, that's pretty much everybody over 50 wants that.
Well, anecdotally, yes, we have, but we view it this way: we don't offer any product as a cure for anything, but we believe that if you supply the basic foundational nutrition, the body will do what it needs to do. We have had people lose 30 pounds in 2 months. We've also had people who need to gain weight who have done that. So the body is always looking for metabolic stability, that type of homeostasis where it's in that sweet spot metabolically. And
Which people don't
yeah,
realize that that's how the body works. And that goes back to the homeopathic method. I studied homeopathy myself with Dr. Luc de Schepper back in the 90s. And basically, Americans don't really understand homeopathy is that the body is peeling off layers of disease or illness or dysfunction. And it's going to take a while, but it's more of the body's innate healing wisdom that is being triggered as you do homeopathic remedies. And even it sounds like with the minerals, it's the body's innate wisdom, the body's innate healing ability that is the important way to affect change, positive health changes. And so this sounds just no wonder your background in homeopathy would have given you the insight and wisdom into how to work with the Spice Mixers products?
We found an interesting crossover with spiritual health as well, Joe.
Oh, I love that.
If your vibratory level we think that it can be pegged to to the food that you eat, the chemicals that you unknowingly ingest, your habits, your environment. That water seeks its own level, and you go to the place where you resonate to. But if you have a high vibratory frequency supplement, it encourages you, I believe, to step up vibrationally. And you find that it's a lot harder to, for instance, be in a depressive state, which can be every bit as life-threatening as any illness.
Right. So what is called is your vibrational set point. It sounds like these products help to raise your vibrational set point, both physically, emotionally, and mentally.
Well, that has been our experience, that everything seems to go better with nature's basic foundational nutrition.
The alignment with source. This is excellent. When we come back, I want you to kind of briefly go through each of the products, a little Cliff's Notes version of each of the products Spice Mixers offers and what they may help with. And also, you have a special offer for my listeners. So I'm so excited about that. When we come back, we'll let the listeners know a little bit about the product line and how to contact you and this special 15% off. Welcome back. My guest is Vaughn Fulkerson. We're talking about his product line, Spice Mixers, and you can contact Vaughn on the website, spicemixers.com, or you can email him at info@spicemixers.com, or call him directly at 818-445-4996. Vaughn, what is the special offer that you are giving to the listeners of Cosmic Scene for Spice Mixers?
Well, it is 15% off with a code that you will like. It is Cosmic in all capitalized letters, and 15% off of any of our blends. And we have 6 different ones.
Well, thank you so much for offering that to our listeners. And it would be a good time now for you to explain the blends and how they came to you and what are they for? What are the differences between these different blends?
Okay, thank you. We have a product that is called Eliminator that came out first in 2016. I didn't know what was wrong with me personally, but I fit the description of someone with severe neuromuscular Lyme disease. I do not have Lyme titers in my blood work. So, a lot of idiopathic autoimmune conditions, idiopathic meaning you don't know source, it's a mystery. But we believe that if it walks and quacks like a duck, it could be could be Lyme disease.
Yes.
So Lyme, and having lived 9 years in ground zero for Lyme, in Pennsylvania, and having visited Old Lyme, Connecticut, where that was the original juvenile arthritis that came to be known as Lyme disease that was affecting children along the coast of Connecticut.
Yeah, a good friend of mine had that in the 70s. They called it Rocky Mountain spotted tick fever back then, before it was called Lyme. It eventually became what was, and it was Connecticut. I grew up in Connecticut, so I was right at ground zero my whole childhood.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Then you know about Plum Island there, just off the coast of Old Lyme. That is the U.S. Biodefense and Agricultural Bioweapons, essentially, research island there.
I did not know that, but now thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. I'm not pointing any fingers here. I'm just saying that's very interesting.
Yes.
Well, back to Eliminator. And of course, we make no claims at all, but our clientele really like these for different uses. Eliminator for, we call it a remineralizing nutritional blend that supports neuromuscular issues, joint, back, and tension, headache issues. It has a ginger root base. And ginger has been associated with improved digestion and kidney and bladder support. For people who like ginger, that would be your blend if you have any joint issues. If you don't like ginger, and I was flabbergasted that there is a subpopulace who doesn't like ginger, we have an alternative, and we call that chemtrail, sort of tongue in cheek. But we don't go conspiratorial here, but chemtrail refers to known and unknown chemical pollutants and toxicities. And it has a chicory root base, and we say that that supports neuromuscular joint, shoulder, back, could be helpful in balancing toxins and vaccine issues.
That's good for people to know how to detox, things like that.
Absolutely. A chicory root is associated with support of the liver, blood, and gallbladder. And again, all of our research is based upon pubmed.gov. So it's not just our research, it is the last several decades worth of serious study and research. We found it really fascinating that cervical impingements seem to be really helped by chemtrail, and that deteriorative discs. People report a lot of relief using this blend.
There must be something in the chicory root that helps with those type of. I also saw it helps with fibromyalgia and lupus type, as well as the cervical impingements.
And fascinating to me that you change one ingredient or so and you can have such a different effect on the body.
That is fascinating. And again, it's the homeopathic type of treatment where the body will take this in and then allow itself to start the process of healing and detoxing, which then leads to the improved health.
I love it that you studied homeopathy, Joe. That is fantastic. Moving on, we have something called Mood L, as in to elevate. I made this for my older son with severe IBS, Crohn's disease,
Wow.
a variety of different digestive dysbiosis type symptoms. He's been hospitalized many times. It has been a really serious issue for him.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He is doing just fine now.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, another happy ending here. We believe that Mood L supports digestive issues such as gastric reflux, IBS, hormone balance, and migraine issues. We've had people who have had one sample cup and their migraine disappears. So again, just fascinating.
And interesting. So the base is maca root, which people don't know much about. Did I say it right? Maca root, or is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
a Peruvian well-known herb that is useful for balancing hormones in both men and women. Usually, well, that's very rare. Usually it's
Right.
one or the other, but it is quite powerful. But you don't want to overdo it. So all of our products are based upon micro dosing.
Yes. Very important. Very important that you mention that.
Yeah. And we found that maca root has long been associated with regulating estrogen and progesterone levels. It's also a testosterone precursor. So that's why everyone seems to like it.
I would think so. It has that extra added benefit. So then you have a few more. So you've mentioned the first three here that you came up with, and then there's three more. Do you want to give us a quick review of those three?
Yeah, we called the respiratory one Lionsgate funges. We find that most people many people have a subclinical fungal respiratory infection.
Yeah.
Meaning not bad enough to go to your doctor about it, but it's there and it makes you vulnerable to different respiratory vectors. And we call it Lionsgate, referring not to a mushroom, but to the astrological event in August, which you know
Oh
much more
yes.
about.
8/8. The Lion's Gate. Is that when you brought it through in August?
Yes.
Excellent.
Uh-huh. And so interesting, these blends really wanted to be called somehow, some ways, what they wanted to be called.
Right.
And so we had talked about these just sort of presenting themselves to me.
So it
And
sounds like they have a consciousness of their own, if we were to qualify that.
they seem to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and always benevolent, always to be of service, which is really wonderful.
That's excellent. Hey, I have a quick question. I have clients. I mean, mold is really kind of a big issue here in New England because we have, the damp season. We live by the ocean. What would help people with mold besides that in the respiratory tract? Let's say mold in other organs like the gut and in, let's say, spleen or intestines and things like that. What product of yours would help with that?
Lionsgate, it has a base of citric acid, which is quite alkaline, and mold does not like a base pH. It likes acidic.
Okay.
And as an alkalizing agent. So it tastes like a tangy version of some of the other chai-like blends. But we found that people with allergies can benefit from this, that you can change the respiratory biome to make it less supportive for fungal, viral, and bacterial infections. And of course, they always like to piggyback one another and team up
Yeah.
on the respiratory system.
Yes. All right. So Lionsgate would be good for mold. And then what are the other few that you have?
Well, some years back, I had clientele who wanted to get off of their MSRIs, and they requested something that would lower specifically anxiety. I really didn't know if I was up to that challenge. That's a a big bite, but our clients seem to like calm motion very much, and in looking at it, brain tissue is made out of tissue which is subject to inflammation, like any other tissue in the body, just like our muscle tissue or our digestive tissues. And we say that a brain on fire is no fun for anybody. What we've done is heavy up on actually the minerals to attempt to clean out brain tissue through the blood-brain barriers so that you can allow the brain, the hypothalamus, the pituitary, the pineal, the thyroids to support the endocrine system, nerves, and also mental wellness. There's a phenomenon that we refer to as organic anxiety, where actually physiologically your brain tissue is overheating. And there's been a lot of books and studies about lowering the physical temperature of your brain tissue.
Wow. And
And yeah, so we pick different magnesium and potassium compounds that seem to be associated with lowering brain tissue inflammation, like magnesium glycinate, potassium glycinate. And we've had a lot of success. We've had people get off of their meds, and also there's sleep aids, which can be really zombifying. We had one client who was on 4 different heavy duty psych meds.
wow.
And essentially a mule tranquilizer so that she could sleep. She had wanted to have a second child, but she was just not able to conceive. Her body it just was in no shape, and mentally and emotionally she was not a good candidate for being a parent at that point. She used Calm Motion and the last overall anti-inflammatory that we call Re-Min for Re-Mineralize. And she used one in the morning, one in the evening, helped her go to sleep, help her wake up with vitality. And with her doctor's help, she was able to wean herself off of her heavy psych meds.
That's a great
And
story. So,
oh yeah,
and
with
detoxified her brain?
yes, and she has a darling 3-year-old little girl
Oh,
now.
beautiful. So her body was able to clean out everything and then conceive and have this beautiful child.
Right, and you do have to have that catabolic effect on the body where you get rid of all the unwanted structures and contaminants. It's not enough to just build up. You also have to tear down unwanted structures.
Right. So I'm hearing you say that the calm ocean is very good for detoxing heavy metals, especially out of places like the thyroid, thymus, pituitary, and pineal, which so many people have that. I mean, anybody who's had dental work pretty much has heavy metal in their system.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's great that the calm ocean will help with that. And then the Remin is what you would be your basic immune boost and kind of gives people vitality and energy.
Sure, we say that it does the top hits of what the other 5 more tissue-specific blends do. And that was by request also. People didn't want to have one for this and another for that. You know how busy we all are. So Remin is our biggest seller, actually.
Well, thank you so much, Vaughn. This has been a wealth of information. And thank you for the healing transmissions as you talk about your product line and spice mixers. And I want our listeners to remember that, or I want our listeners to know that Vaughn is offering a 15% off all blends that he just explained and shared with the code COSMIC. Vaughn, thank you for your time and energy today.
Jill, you are the best. And I want to thank Tammy Andrews for the introduction for us as well.
Yes, thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Vaughn.
Okay, it's been a joy.
I hope you enjoyed this episode featuring my guest, Vaughn Fulkerson, talking about spice mixers. Remember to download, subscribe, share, and give us a 5-star review. This is Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine signing out, sending spicy healing vibrations through the quantum field.